So today we will be taking a look at the activity lifecycle. So what is an activity lifecycle? So in a simple words, so each screen that you see inside your application on Android platform, it is called as an activity. So let's say if you have a very simple application like a chat application where you will be having a login screen, and once you log in, you will come into the chat screen. So basically we have got two activities. One is the login activity and one is the chat activity. So it will go accordingly. Okay. So with that said, let's create the new application. And one thing I would like to tell you. So unfortunately, if you find out any difficulties while setting up the environment, feel free to put a mail to support@edureka.co and they would certainly help you out with those issues. Okay. So normally it is pretty much straightforward setup, but sometimes we come across the issues like after the installation, it would not able to find the SDK path or it would not start the AVD. So if you get such issues, please put a mail to the support and they would get back to you with the appropriate solution. Okay, so initially you may get some issues while setup is done. Once the setup is done, you can start creating the applications. Okay, and we have also included the tutorial, SDK setup tutorial. So you can use that tutorial to follow the setup steps. And Mike, I would be also letting you guys know that how you will use the latest physical device to run the application. So yes, I would be taking up that. So when we will run this application, that time I will be showing you guys how you can use the physical device to run the application. Okay, so let's create a very simple application, Hello World. So what you have to do is, you just have to create the Hello World. So I would type the application name. So you would type the company domain for which you are working. In case if you are working as a freelancer or something like that, you can just write down some imaginary company name which you have in your mind, or you can just write down your name. That is perfectly fine. So once that is done, then what you are going to do is you are going to specify the project location where you want to save that particular project. So in my case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give the path of the D drive. So I would say my project name is Hello World. I will press next. Okay, so what I would do is I would place next over there. Yeah. So now you can see, so when you will start creating the new application, it will ask you a few options. Like whether you want to create the applications for the phone, whether you want to create it for TV, Android Wear, Google Glass, for which you want to create the application. So I am going to select the phone and tablet. Okay. So we would be selecting the phone and tablet over there. So as you can see that Google is giving you the message by targeting API level 15 and later, your app will run on approximately 90.4% of the devices. So it is the recommended minimum API version that Google is suggesting us. It means this application, whatever we will create, it will run on all the devices which are running Android version 4.0.3 and above. Okay. So you select that, then click on the next button. So in the next button, in the next screen, what I'm going to select is I'm going to select the blank activity. So blank activity means we would be creating this application from scratch. Okay. So you can, so once you gain some expertise in Android development, then at a later point, I would recommend you should not create a blank application. You can always go with the full screen application or the Google Map application. So they have given the templates. So you can select any of those templates. But right now, just for the understanding purpose, I would start with the blank activity. Click on next. So when you will click on next, so there you will have to specify few entries over there. So I got a question from Abhi. What is the difference between no activity and blank activity? So Abhi, no activity means your application will not have anything. It would not have any activity. But a blank activity means you would be having a blank, you will be having the activity, but layout will be blank. So you would just see the white screen. Activity will be there, but it would not show any user interface to the user. And in the no activity, you would not have the activity at all. So before running the application, you would have to create at least one activity by yourself. So that is the difference we have. So we usually go with the blank activity. Okay, so we are creating the new application. We are specifying the activity name as the main activity over there. So as I said, each activity has got the associated layout. So you have got the Java activity. So in the activity, what you do, you write all your application logic. So just to give you a simple example, let's say I have got the application where I have got two text fields for entering username and password, and I have got two buttons, login and reset. So that UI that you will be creating, that will be part of the layout file. And behind the scenes, we would be using the validations, we would be reading what user is typing, and we would be taking the appropriate actions. So that will be a part of the activity. So activity contains all the Java code, business logic. And the layout file, it just contains the UI. It has nothing to do with the business logic. It is just what user will see. Okay. So whenever you create the activity, you will also have to create the layout. So we are creating the main activity. So layout file, we are creating the activity underscore main. So what I would do is, I would rename my activity name to hello activity. Okay, so the name of the activity, we are giving it as the hello activity. And the layout name that we are specifying over here, it is the activity underscore hello. So it is the general, I would say, naming convention that we follow. So you can give layout name according to your wish. But you have to make sure that your layout name should always have the small letters. It should not have the capital letters. And your layout name should never have the integer digits. It should only have the characters. It should never have the numbers over there. And it should always have the small letters. But your activity can have the combination of the small letters and the capital letters. So there is no such restriction. Then we are specifying the title, which will be present on our activity. So if you run any application, so normally you see the title on the top. So that is called as the title. So you would also specify that. So menu resource file, we would not be covering menu today. So menu is just something like whatever you see on the top right side, where you get the different menus. Okay, so I would skip that section for now, menu section. So what is important is specifying the activity name, layout name, and specifying the activity title. So once you do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on finish. And what it will do, it will create a new project for us. Okay, so again, what happens is, so very first time when you will launch the Android Studio and you will start creating the application, it will take some time because it downloads some dependencies from the internet. But on the subsequent occasions, it will just start smoothly. But very first time, it takes some time. So since my computer uses dual core CPU, so on my PC it runs little bit slower. In case if your computer is using i3, i5, i7 processors, then the speed will be much better. Okay, so I would wait for application to get created. So once the application is created, we would go into deeper. Okay, so as you can see, it is taking some time, but it is preparing the environment. It is setting up the activity, it is setting up the layout, it is also showing us the preview. And at the bottom, if you see, it is showing the spinning circle. It means it is doing some processing. So we would wait till that processing is finished. So after that is finished, I can take you through the application. Okay, so now the project has been created successfully, and what Android does is, so when it creates the new project, it will open the layout file for you and it will open the Java file for you. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to close down both the files. So this is the project structure that we get. So on the left hand pane, if you see, we get the, so what you have to do is on the top, if you see on the left hand side, you have to click on that and you have to select the project over there. you should not select Android, you should select the project. So I will select the project over there, so it will give me that different structure. Okay, so from there I would expand the app section. So app section have got all the important material on which we would be working. Inside that I would be expanding the SRC folder and I would be expanding the main folder inside that. So whatever we would be doing throughout the sessions, we would be doing it inside the main folder. So Java folder where you would be writing the Java code, and the resource folder where you would be writing all the resources, where you would be putting all the layout files and all. Okay, so the three important files or the folders you have to remember is the Java folder, resource folder, and Android manifest.xml. Okay, so I would take you through those. So let me open the resource folder. So if you open the resource folder, you would find the lot of folders out there. So we have got the drawable folder, then we have got the layout folder. So drawable folder will contain the images like the launcher icon. So drawable folder will contain the launcher icon of your application. So whatever you want to show on the launch screen. So what you will do, you will just take one PNG file of your icon and you will put it inside the drawable folder. Then you have got the layout folder. So layout folder will contain the layout of your application. So how your application will look like. So that layout will be contained in the layout folder. Then we have got the menu folder. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete that menu folder which has been created, because we are not going to take a look at this menu today. So what I will do, I will just press the delete button and I will delete the menu. Okay, so after that you would see the map folders over there. So basically you will see the four set of folders. One is the HDPI, MDPI, XHDPI and XSHDPI. So guys, by looking at these folders, can you guess what those folders must be doing? So as you can see, those folders contains the images. So why we don't have only one folder? Why we have got the four set of folders? Can you guess and tell me over the chat window? Okay, so I got the question answer from the mic. So guys, can rest of you? Okay, so in case if you don't have any idea, just say no. So David, the question that was asked is, as you can see in the resource folder, we have got four set of folders: map, MDPI, HDPI, XHDPI and XSHDPI. And all those folders contains the images. So why don't we just have one folder? Why should we have four set of folders for four images? So yes, so most of you have identified it correctly. So as I said, Android runs on the different screen sizes. You might run the application on 2.5-inch screen, or you might run that same application on Android TV, which is like 45-inch screen. So let's say if you just keep one image, so in that case what will happen is, that image might look good on the smaller screens, but that image will get distorted on the larger screen sizes, right? Or so that to overcome that issue, what we do is we create we don't create, we already have the four set of folders given by the Android, and Android suggests us to place different resolution images in different folders. So what Android does is, so by default, you don't have to write the code that if the screen size is 10-inch, then use the image from this folder. So you just have to put the images and Android will automatically pick up the image from the respective folder and it will show it on the screen. So if I open the image from the HDPI, so you can see it is something like this. And if I open it from the XHDPI, so right now I just have same size of images, but in the real world applications, you would be having the different size of images. So XHDPI means extra high density pixel. So it would have the highest resolution images. And MDPI means medium density. So it would have the least size of image. Okay, so it will go accordingly. So normally, if you are working in organization, so you would be having the graphics designers who would be creating the images for you. You have to just make sure you are placing those images in the respective folders, basically. So if he has given you four set of images with the four different resolutions, so the least resolution image you would put in MDPI, Then the next set you would put in HDPI, then XS HDPI, and highest resolution image you would always put in XS HDPI, something like that. So this is the application structure that we have. Then we have got the values folder. So what values folder is going to contain? So values folder will contain the constants that you will be defining in your application. So it will also help us to localize the application. So if you remember, today we are going to cover the concept of the localization. So the strings.xml will also contain the things for the localization. So we will gradually learn those things. But right now I'm just giving you the brief on what are the files you will find after creating a new project. So you will have strings.xml, then you will have the dimensions. So dimensions will contain the dimensions that you will be giving, like size and all. So I was talking about the dimensions and all. So there you would be specifying all the sizes and all basically. Then you have got strings.xml where you will be defining all the constants. Then you have got the styles.xml. So styles.xml will contain the theme declaration. So whenever you want to apply the themes and all, that time you will be making the changes into the styles. Okay, so styles we would not see today, but as we will progress into the course, we will look at those things. Okay, so values W2 820dp also I will delete, so we would not seeing it right now. And after that, the very important file that is present is the Android manifest.xml. So whenever you create the new application, by default Android, so whatever package name, whatever the organization name that you had given on the first screen, that will be specified over here. And whatever activities that you have created or by default get created in the Android application, so all the things will be present in Android manifest file. So normally we would not be paying attention to Android manifest file much, but as we will start developing the Android applications, advanced Android applications, which would communicate over the network, which would create files and all. So that time we would also have to specify certain permissions to our applications. So Android manifest file we would be using that time. So if you want to give some extra permissions to your application, that time we would be using Android manifest file. For the first 2 or 3 sessions, we would not use Android manifest file much. Okay, so this is a structure we have. So let me show you the simple execution, how it works. So let me open the layout file. Okay, so as you can see, so when you open the layout file, it will show you the code, and on the right hand side, it will also show you the preview, how it looks like. So the layout and all those things we would be seeing in much more detail tomorrow. But just to give you some brief today, so what happens, so whenever you create a UI inside the activity, that UI always starts with the layout. So you would be having the layout, and inside the layout, you would be having the different widgets. So right now the widget which I am having, it is the Android text view widget. So text view is nothing but the label. So we are having the text view, which is showing us the text as hello world. So width and height specifies what should be the width and height, what should be the dimensions of that text view. So we are giving the width as wrap content. Wrap content means try to take as minimum width as possible. And height is also wrap content. So wrap content means try to take as minimum height as possible. So that is the width and height concept. So it means that you are trying to take as minimum width and as minimum height as possible over there. Okay, so it is a simple text view which we have created. And Mike, we can give the width in percentage also. So yes, so when we will cover linear layout tomorrow, so that time I will show you how you guys can give the width in percentage. Like let's say I want to have 2 buttons and they should take 50-50% on the screen. So yes, that can be done in linear layout, and that we will be going much more detail in tomorrow's session. Okay, so let's say you have created a layout. So now how you associate that layout with the activity file. So now if you go into the Java file, so in the Java file, so before explaining you the onCreate method, I have got a very simple question for you. So let's say you have created a pretty simple Java project in which you have got the 10 Java files. So how you define which Java file should start first when you launch the application? Can you tell me which Java files will start first when you launch the application? So if you got the 10 Java files, how will you define the starting point? in your project. Okay, so I got a correct answer from David. How about others? So Shanti, I'm talking about the Java file. We are not talking about the Android, so we would not have the activity class. So simple Java file. So yes, guys, so all of you have answered correctly. That is the main function. So you are absolutely correct. So in the similar way, in the Java file, you have got the main method. So in the Android, we have got the onCreate method. So you can treat onCreate method as similar to the main method. So when you go into the onCreate method, so very first time when you will launch the application, it will always execute the onCreate method. So whenever activity starts, it will start the onCreate method first. And there if you see, we are calling something like set content view r.layout.activity_hello. So we are specifying that please set up the UI. So what happens is when your activity starts, it will go into the onCreate method and there it will execute the code snippet set content view. So what is meant by set content view? It means it is telling us which view should be shown when that activity starts. So it is showing us r.layout.activity_hello. So R stands for resources. So as you can see on the left hand side, we have got the resources. Inside that, we have got the layout folder. And inside that, we have got the activity_hello. It means that set content view, we will set the content view which is present in resource folder. Inside that, we have got the layout folder. And inside that, we have got activity_hello. So that layout we would be setting as the front view to that particular activity. Okay, so when your application starts, it will first execute the activity and activity will specify which layout should be shown to the user. Okay, so yes, so I had got a question. So how to turn on the lines? So David had asked me a question, how you can just turn on the lines. So David, that's pretty simple. So what you have to do is, so on the right hand side, if you see, you just have to right click. So there you would be getting an option to toggle show line numbers. So if you click on that, it will hide the line numbers. And if you click on again, it will show the line numbers there. Okay, so you can just toggle the display. So you can just either show the line numbers or you can hide the line numbers over there. So yeah, David. So even I'm facing that issue. So almost for 4.5 years, I used Eclipse. And when I started Android Studio, so I faced some difficulty. But once you use it, Android Studio for a couple of months, you would feel much more comfortable. It is much more advanced. Okay, yeah. So I was talking about the Hello activity, and now the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to launch this application on the actual physical device, and we would see. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one tool to project my screen to you guys. So that tool, I would say it is little bit slower, so you would not see the output immediately, but it will at least give you the understanding on how that application looks like on the actual device. Okay, so what I would do is I would connect the device to my computer using the cord. And Mike had asked us one question. There are really nicely designed apps when I browse Dribble or the Behance. Will I able to design this kind of apps? So Mike, so yes, you can get started. But ultimately, I would say if you want to create the apps at that level, you would require some experience. But yes, after taking the course, you would be having the clear picture on what tools to use, what widgets to use to achieve that design. But it would take some amount of experience to create the exactly looking app in Android. So once you get used to creating the color combinations and all, so it would be pretty much easy for you. I think I had got one question from Syed. I'm really sorry I missed out that question. Okay, so Java file has the okay. So it was not Syed. It was Abhi. Can you please explain Java file which you have opened again? So Abhi, this Java file, it is called as the activity file. Okay. So this activity file contains the logic. So whenever you launch the application on the device, so how it should behave, that will be shown in the Hello Activity Java file. And the Shanti, the hello world string is mentioned in the activity_hello. So yes, Abhi, that is the MVC pattern. So you are absolutely correct. So we are following the MVC pattern over here. So Shanti, if you see over here, So if you see in the text view, I have written something like Android text, and I'm giving the text over there, and that text is getting displayed over there. So if you remember, while explaining you the strings.xml file, I told you that we would be creating the constants in the strings.xml. So if I control click over that, it will jump to the strings.xml, and there you can see I have created all the strings over here. Hello world, action settings and all. And rather than hard coding the strings inside the label and the button, what I would be doing, I would be referencing those strings from the strings.xml. So you can see, let's say on the text view, I want to display hello world. So I would not hard code hello world word over there. Rather, I will be going into the text view, and I would say something like @string, and I would be pass on that key. So when you pass on that key, you would just display the hello world word over there. And each activity will have its own layout. So Mike, that's absolutely correct. Each activity will have its own layout file. Okay, so one tricky question for you guys. So can you tell me what is the reason I'm creating the constants inside the strings.xml file, and I'm referring to those constants in the text? So why I'm not directly hard coding the text over here? So can you guess and tell me over the chat window what could be a reason behind that? Creating the constants in string.xml and referring to those constants in the layout file rather than hard coding the text. So what could be the reason behind that? So yes, so I've got a pretty much exact answer from the Shanti. So basically you have all given the very correct answer. But the main reason I'm doing that because, so let's say in your you have got the 100 activities, and each activity contains 2 buttons. So basically you will have 200 buttons. And on the 200 buttons, you have written something like hello world. So let's imagine if you have hard coded the text on each button, and tomorrow if my project manager says that I don't want to see hello world there, I want to see something like hello Edureka. So in that case, what I will have to do, I will have to take a pain to go into each layout, and I will have to manually change the text on each button, which is not a good approach, right? But rather, if I have the constant in the strings.xml, and if I refer to that constant, so tomorrow if I want to make the changes, I will just go into strings.xml like I will do over here. So what I'll do, I'll just go to the strings.xml, and instead of hello world, I would specify something like hello Edureka. So you can see, I'm just changing the value. Key I'm not changing. So in that case, what will happen? That value will be reflected everywhere. So now you can see. So now instead of hello world, I'm seeing hello Edureka over there. So that's the major advantage of creating strings.xml. And also we would be using string.xml for the localization. Okay, so let me take you through the concept of the localization. Okay, so I would request you to closely pay attention, because there are certain options which I would be clicking, and I think you might miss out those options. So it is so Nola, it is acceptable to write the strings directly, but it is not recommended, I would say. You can do that, but it is not recommended. Is this a preview? Is the emulator? So Shanti, it is not the emulator, it is just a device frame. It is just showing us the preview in the device frame. We have not yet run the application on the device. Okay, so I totally forgot. I wanted to show you how you can run the actual application on the actual device. Okay, so thanks for reminding me. What I'll do is I'll connect my device to my computer using the USB cord. So what I'm doing over here is I'm connecting my device to the computer using the cord. And the next thing that I'm going to do over here is I'm going to launch one tool. So in your case, you would not require that tool because you don't want to project screen to anybody. But I would be using that tool since I want to project my device screen to you guys so that you can see all the things on my device. So I will go into C, program files, Android Studio, and that tool name is ASM. So I would connect my device to computer, and I would say something like Java -jar, and I would drag that tool. Oops. So there are 2 tools. So I would try draw it at screen. So I just downloaded it recently. So I just want to see what is the difference in that. Okay, so it is always a problem. So rather I would use the same tool which I use always, which is the ASM. Okay, so it should show my device on the, okay, so it is giving us option device not detected. So that is somewhat unexpected. Okay, so just give me guys couple of seconds. I would just check if I connected my device correctly or not. Okay, so there was some connectivity issue. Okay, so I have connected it now properly. So I should see the device name in that window. Okay, so in case if I'm not seeing, I'll again launch that tool. Yeah, so I'm getting my device name. I'll just press OK. And when I press OK, so you can see this is my device. Okay, so guys, if you want to run your application on the actual device, the very first thing that you will have to do is you will have to install the device drivers. So in case if you are using HTC, you can just go on the HTC website and you can download the Studio HTC PC suite or something like that. So every device has got its own what do you say sync manager or something like that. So in Samsung we have got Samsung PC suite. In the HTC we have got HTC sync manager. So depend on which mobile you are using, you can go on the manufacturer's website and you can download the drivers. Once you download the drivers and you have successfully installed them, just restart your computer. Abhi, in case if you are not able to hear me, I would request you to rejoin the session. I think that should solve the issue. Okay, so you can, okay, so Abhijit might be some internet connectivity issue. So don't worry, the session is getting recorded, so you can just follow up later also. So yeah, so what I was talking about is you have to download the drivers, just restart your computer. After restarting the computer, what you have to do is you have to go into the settings. What I'm doing is I'm going into the settings. At the bottom, I would be going into the developer options. Okay, so you will see the developer option there. But I have seen in the recent version of Android, a developer option is hidden. They do not make it visible. So to overcome that, what you have to do is you have to go into the about section. You have to find out the option, something called as build number. Okay. So in my case, the build number is present in the yeah. So it is present here. So depend on your mobile, you have to find out the build number and you have to click on the build number 7 times to enable the developer option. So now you can see if I try to click on the build number option, it is saying me no need, you are already a developer. But in your case, if you have never turned on the developer mode earlier, just follow this step, click on the build number 7 times and that option will be visible to you. Okay, so what you have to do is now you have to go back. So once you do that, that option will become visible and you will able to see the developer option. So it would be like second last option you would see in the settings. Vinayak, so you can also copy the APK directly. So Vinayak, yes, but I would say that will be a little bit painful because every time you will make a changes, you will have to compile, copy the APK, and that is kind of painful. But using this approach, you can just connect your device and if you run the app, it will directly get installed on your mobile. So that is the advantages you get. Mike, yes, certainly I will repeat that steps. So Mike, what I did is I went into the about section. There I went into the software information. I clicked on the more. And there I clicked on the build number 7 times. So I don't need to do that now because I'm already a developer. I have enabled the developer mode earlier. But in your case, if you have never turned it on, you will have to click on it 7 times. And then you can come back, and at the bottom, you would see the developer option there. So you guys have to go into the developer option, and the option that you will have to turn on, that is called as the USB debugging. Okay, so that option which you can see, USB debugging, that option must be turned on. If you don't turn on that option, you would not be able to install the applications on the device. So you have to turn on that option. And how you can verify whether Android Studio is recognizing your device or not? So once you do that, open your Android Studio. Okay, so I would open my Android Studio, and in the Android Studio, go into the Android panel. So on the left hand side, you can see it is showing me HTC Desire 816 dual SIM. It means my Android device has been detected successfully. Vinayak, these steps will be same for Micromax device also. The only thing I would not able to tell you properly, guys, is where you would able to find the drivers, because I would say there are more than 10 to 12 number of manufacturers. So in case of HTC and Samsung, I know that because I use those mobiles. So you would just go to the website and you would able to download the USB drivers. But in case if you are using brands like Sony, Micromax, Intex, I would not able to exactly tell you where you would find the drivers. But you can just go on the manufacturer website and try to search. You would find the drivers. So installing the drivers is very important. If you don't install the drivers, then Android Studio will not able to detect the Android device you have. Okay, so once you install the driver, so you can see my device is getting detected and it is also showing me device lock. So it will continuously throw the device locks. So once everything is set up, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on that run icon. Okay, so I will just click on that run icon. So when you click on the run icon, the Android Studio will start a process where it will compile your app and it will try to create the executable out of that. And once the executable is created, it will launch that executable on the connected device. Okay, so I will also keep that device screen beside. So now what should happen? When you will launch that application, it should get executed on the device. Okay, so I have seen that Android Studio takes some time to create the executable out of your app. So you need to be a little bit patient, because earlier I used to use Eclipse and the process was like, it was like very quick. As soon as you click on the run icon, it used to launch the app on the device. But Android Studio takes some time to create the executable out of your source code. So Shanti, what is meant by Gradle executing is, so Gradle is a build tool. So that build tool, what it does is it does the task of compiling and creating the executable out of your source code. So that all things are done by the Gradle. Okay, so as I said, it is taking some time, and on my computer, it takes forever. Anyways, so the compilation has been successful, and so now what you will do is, so the one of the beauty of Android Studio is, so let's say if you are connected 10 devices to your computer, so before running, it will show you all the device list, and it will ask you to select any one device on which you want to run the app. So at a time, you cannot launch the app and on all the devices. At a time, you will launch it. You will able to launch it only on one device. So you just have to select the device. In my case, it is just one device. So it is just giving me one option. So I will select that device and I will click OK. So what you can do is, if you don't have a device, you can click on that launch emulator and it will start the emulator for you. Okay, so in that way, you can launch the emulator. So right now I will choose the running device and I will press OK. So what I will do is, I will again start the projector. So now application has been installed on my device successfully. Let me show it to you. So as you can see, this is the application. So you can see, so we have created the app and I launched that application on my device and it is showing me successfully. So we are seeing hello world and below we are seeing hello Edureka text also. It means everything is running successfully over there. Okay, so we are getting the hello Edureka. It means the program has been executed successfully. So being said that, what I will do is, so rather than text view, what I will do is I will just replace that text view with the button. Okay, so only thing that I have done over here, I have replaced that text view with the button over there. And now you can see, as soon as I replace that text view with the button, I would see the button on the right hand side. So how easy it is? You just have to specify the widget name and that widget you can see on the right hand panel over there. Okay, so yeah. So now the next concept that we will see, that concept is called as the localization. So now what is going to happen is, so if you run this application on the English device or if you run this application on Chinese device, Japanese device, everywhere you would see the similar text in English. But I want to make sure that if it runs on the Japanese device, I want to show the text in Japanese. If I run it on Chinese device, I want to show the text in Chinese. So how you can do that? So that's pretty simple. So just carefully have a look at what I'm doing. So on the preview panel, you would see the Earth-like icon. So on the right hand side, you can see that Earth-like icon. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on that icon. So right now it is showing me add translation. So right now we don't have any translated file. So it is giving me option as add translation. So I will click on that option, add translation. So as soon as you will click on that option, it will ask you in which language you want to translate that application. So let's select something like Japanese. Okay, so what I did, I selected Japanese over there. So when you select the Japanese option, it is going to give you this window, add translation for the Japanese. Okay, so now here what I'm going to do is, here I am going to write the Japanese translations to those strings. Okay, so the very first string we have got, it is called as the settings. So what I'll do is, so right now, so since we don't know Japanese, I will take a help of the Google Translate. So I'll go on the translate.google.com. Okay, so I will go on translate.google.com and I will type something like settings over there. And the text I will select it as the Japanese. So as you can see, we have selected the text as Japanese. And now what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to, okay, so how I can copy that? Yeah, so I'm going to copy that text. I will again come back to the Android Studio. I will double click on that Japanese text field and I will paste that text over there. Okay, so I don't have a language pack installed for Windows 8. So it will just show us the boxes, but in the strings.xml, it will show us the clear text. So similar thing I will also do for the hello world and hello Edureka. I will again jump onto the browser. I would type hello world. I will just copy it. I will come here. I will paste it over here. And finally, we have got hello Edureka. So I'll again come back to the browser. And here I will type hello Edureka. Okay, so I'll again copy it. I will come back to Studio and I will paste it. Okay, so once you have given the translation for all the strings, I'm just going to click on the OK button. Okay, so when you will click on the OK button, so now you can see it has created one strings.xml file which is present in JA folder. So J stands for Japanese. And there it has created same strings, but now the key is same, but the values are different. So those values are in Japanese format. Okay, so now you can see. So you would be having multiple strings.xml file for each language. So inside the application, you are going to refer to those keys, those values using key. So key would not change. The value will change. So when you run the application, what Android does, Android checks on which device your application is running, and accordingly, it will pick up the value from the respective string.xml. So now if you run this application on English device, it will take the value from value strings.xml. And if you run that application on the Japanese device, it is going to pick up that value from the values JA strings.xml file. Okay, so let's see that in action. So I will not run this application on my device because I will have to change the localization. But you can quickly preview whether it is working or not by going into the layout. And in the preview, now you can see on the top, I can select two options. One is default and one is Japanese. So if I select default over there, I will be getting the button in the English, Hello Edureka. But if I select Japanese over there, so you are just emulating the device localization. So now you can see, so now when this application will be launched on the Japanese device, so you would be getting that button text in the Japanese over there. Can you please show again previous screen where you entered Japanese? So yeah guys, I will again show you. So what I did on the top, I went onto that and I clicked on edit translation, Japanese translation. So this is a screen where I would enter the Japanese text. Okay, so when I went back, so I could see a screen where you can enter the Japanese text. Okay, so yeah, great. Okay, so guys, is that clear to you? Is that Japanese translation is clear to all of you? Can you please let me know over the chat window? So we have most of the Indian languages, Shanti. So we have Gujarati. So I would say most of the major spoken English languages. Okay, so at the end of the session, so you would see one assignment in your LMS folder where you have to create the app with the 2-3 localizations. Okay, so try to create the app, and anyways, if you do not able to get it working, so you would also see the solution over there. So you can just run that solution. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just go through the PPTs once again. So as much as possible, I'm trying to show you things practically, but at your convenience, you can also take a look at the PPTs also. So yeah, so the next thing that we would be taking at is the activity lifecycle and the event listeners. Okay, so the two important topics that are remaining is the activity lifecycle and the event listener. And Vinayak, at the end, I will also let you know, guys, how you can access the LMS. So definitely, I will do that. Okay. So next thing is we will take a look at the activity lifecycle. So that is pretty much simple. So what is meant by the lifecycle? So lifecycle means the states from which your application goes during its lifetime. Mike, you don't see preview pane. So what you have to do is, after going into the layout, you have to click on that rightmost panel, preview. So if you see on that rightmost panel, that is called as the preview. So you have to click on that. So when you will click on that rightmost panel, that pane will come up. Okay. Yeah. So we are going to take a look at the activity lifecycle. So what is meant by activity lifecycle is the states from which your application goes. Okay. So let me show it to you through the slides first. Okay. So as you can see, when you launch the application, so we have seen the onCreate method already. So onCreate is the method which will get called very first. So it will get called. So it is the main method which will be called by the Android when your application starts. So after onCreate method, the next set of method that get called is the onStart. And always remember, out of these methods, the only one mandatory method is onCreate. Rest of the methods, I'm just letting you know so that you will you will know what are the other methods present in Android, and you can use them in the special scenarios. But I would say normally we don't use those methods. We just use the onCreate. Okay. So after the onCreate, the next set of method that is called by the Android is called as the onStart method. So normally what happens, so whenever you launch the application, it will call onCreate. Then it will do all the initialization inside your application. So if you have created any views or something like that, it will start preparing those views so that it can show them to the user. So that is all done in onStart. After all views are initialized and they are shown to the user, the next set of method that gets called is called as onResume. So onResume is the method which gets called after your application is launched successfully. Okay, and these methods will get called in the microseconds. So you would not see the delay, but behind the scene it is happening. So let's say your application is running and suddenly you get a pop-up message in front of your application. So let's say you are playing a game and suddenly you get a message as your mobile is low on the battery. Please connect it to the charger. Something like that. So in that case what happens is you can still see the game which is running in the background, but it is blocked by the message which you have received. So until and unless you don't dismiss that message, you would not able to play that game again. Right? So until and unless I don't dismiss that message, I would able to see the game which is running in the background, but I would not able to interact with it. So that state is called as on pause. So what is meant by on pause? You can still see your application, but you cannot interact with it. Now let's say you are playing a game, but suddenly you get the phone call. Okay. So when you will get the phone call, so that time what will happen? Your game will completely go in the background. You would not able to see your game at all until and unless you don't dismiss the phone call. So that state is called as on stop. So when your application goes in the background, that is called as on stop. Now let's say you have completed a game and now you want to just relax or something like that. So what you will do? You will just exit the game. So when you exit the application, so the method that gets called is called as on destroy. Okay, so on destroy will get called whenever you will exit the game. And two methods which I forgot to tell you. So let's say you got the battery pop-up message, your mobile is low on battery. So if you dismiss that message, so what will happen? Again from the on pause, your application will come into on resume. And once you end the phone call, again from the on stop, it will come into the on start. So we have got something like that. So opposite to on start is on stop and opposite to on resume is on pause. And opposite to on create, we have got on destroy. So those are the methods we have. So we have got 3 starting methods and 3 ending methods over there. Okay, so guys, I would request you to go through this diagram. And if you have any questions, please ask me over the chat window. Okay, so carefully take a look at this diagram. And if you have any questions, please ask me. Okay, so I have got a question from Abhi. Can you please explain on stop, on destroy? Okay, it says Abhi, I will explain that again. Should not AMP process kill start after destroyed instead of on? Okay, I have to start again when on start method is called. And what is the function of on-resume? Okay. So, so a lot of questions. Okay, so let me take those questions one by one. David, so actually I was waiting for your questions, so that's why I was not speaking over the headphones. So I would take it one by one. So I have got a question from Avi. Can you please explain on stop, on destroy, and activity shutdown? So Avi, in a simple words, I would say when your application goes into the background, the method that will get called is the on stop. On stop means your application has just stopped. It is not yet destroyed because it is gone into the background. But let's say when you press the back key on your mobile, so that time application gets destroyed. So back means, so in Android you will find two buttons. One is the home key and one is the back key. So back key means you're exiting the application, and the home key means you're pushing the application in the background. So when you push the application in the background, so that time the method that will get called is the on stop. And when you will exit the application, that time the method will get called, that is called as on destroy. So there is no such concept as activity shutdown. You have got on destroy. So whenever your activity stops, it is on destroy. I got a question from Syed. Should not app process kills start after on destroy instead of so Syed, your question is not clear to me. So can you please rephrase your question and ask me again? Sorry for that. So it is a little unclear to me. So in the meantime, what I'll do is I'll take another question. I got a question from Chitra. When on restart method is used? So Chitra, on restart, so we usually don't write on restart method. So on restart method is used. So when your application goes into the background, so you can see we get the method on stop. And again, when you bring your application in the foreground, so it will call the on restart method followed by the on start method. It means again it is coming into the foreground. So that is the method we have. But I would request you to ignore that on restart because that is somewhat confusing. You can just imagine when you will bring your application on the front, directly from the on stop, your on start method will get called. And what is the function of on resume, Shweta? So on resume method, it just denotes that your application has been launched successfully and all the initialization is done in your application. So it is just a flag, I would say, that your application has been launched successfully. Okay, I got a question from Syed. App process killed threads. Okay, so where it is app process killed. Should not app process killed thread starts after on destroy method is invoked? So yes, so yeah, you are correct, Syed. So once your app is destroyed, then your application process will be killed. So yes, you are correct. So are you seeing anything wrong in the diagram? I think there is nothing mentioned related to the process, but you are correct. It will get called after your activity is finished or your app is finished. Instead of on stop, it is finished. Use a navigate to application with her. Okay, Syed. So yeah, you are asking about that orange one. So Syed, why we have written that? Because so sometimes what happens is, so your application is in background, but what Android does, Android tries to keep as many as application alive as possible. But let's say you have launched 50-60 applications. So that is, I would not say that is an everyday scenario, but in a rare case, let's say you have got 100 applications installed on your device, and out of them you launch 50-60 applications, and all of them are now you push them in the background. So now when you will try to start 51st or the 61st application, that time Android will see now there is no much memory available to launch that application. So what Android can do, Android can kill any one of the app which is running in the background or which is went into the background. So what can happen is, after the on stop, on destroy may get called. So if Android decides to kill your application while it is in background, so that time on destroy also get called. So that is the reason we have written that. So there is no guarantee that after on stop you will always get on start. You can get on create also. Why? Because when your application was in background, Android might kill your application, and when you will try to launch that application again, you would feel that you are launching that, you are just resuming that application, but behind the scene, Android is creating that application again. We can see recently open application. Does that all happens in one activity? So recently, yeah. So Abhijit, yes. So that is also one of the application which shows all the recent application thumbnails. So yes, that is also one of the activity you have. Okay. So once so now I have explained you the theory. So let me show it to you in the practical. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to jump into my activity class. And now I'm going to implement the rest of the lifecycle methods. So you don't need to remember those methods. You just say something like on, press control space, and it will automatically populate those method names. Okay. So we would be having, after on create, we would be having on start. I will just press control space. Then we would be having on resume, control space I will press. So opposite to on resume, we have got on pause. So I always remember it in that way. we have on create, on start, on resume. Opposite to on resume, you will have on pause. Opposite to on start, you will have on stop. And opposite to on create, you will have on destroy. Okay. So after on stop, I will write on destroy. So you can see these many methods we have: on create, on start, on resume. Then we have got on pause, on stop, and on destroy over there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to print. So in Java, normally if you want to show the log messages, so what we write system out.println. In case if you are using .NET, we always write console.writeline or something like that. So in Android, we don't have something like system out println. We always write something called as log.i. So log.i means that message will not be shown on the device, but that message will be shown in the console. So this is very useful if you want to debug your application or if you want to print certain information. Okay, so log.i accepts the filter name. So I will give the filter name as, let's say I will give the name as Edureka. So what happens is I'm just going to expand that bottom panel, Android panel. So now you can see, so when I will open that bottom panel, on the right hand side, you are getting plenty of logs which are coming in. So if you print your log, so generally that log gets added in that logs list. But it is very difficult to see our logs because there are a lot of device logs also there, right? So that's why we create the filter. So all the logs with that filter will be shown in the different window. So we are creating the filter as Edureka, and I'm just going to print out the message, something like on create called. Okay, so I'm just printing out the message there on create called. Then I will come into the on start, and there instead of on create, I will call something like on start called. Then we would have on resume called. Then in the on pause, I would say something like on pause call. Then we would be having on stop call. Then we would be having on destroy. So what I have done is in each method I have printed a log message. And now what I'll do is I'll again launch this application, and when I will launch this application, so those log message will get printed, and accordingly we will able to identify in which state which methods are called. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my own filter. So how will I do that? So at the bottom, if you see that Android panel, I'm expanding that. On the right hand side, you can see edit filter configuration. So I will open that panel, and there I will click on edit filter configuration. So I will click on that. So when I will click on that, so there I will give the name as Edureka, the same name which we have written in the code. And the log tag name also, I will keep it as Edureka. Okay, so we are giving two names. One is the name and log tag. So just make sure that both the names you are giving the same, which we have written in the code. So once you do that, I will press OK. Okay, so now once you do that, when you press OK, so now you can see in the drop down, now we are getting one more filter that is called as the Edureka. And now you can see my window is clean because now the only messages which are having the Edureka keyword in it will get printed over here. So by that way, it becomes very much easier for us to see the messages. Okay, so now what I will do is I will launch the application on device, and let's see what are the message gets printed. Okay, so can you tell me? So what I'll do is, for now I will hide that window. So can you tell me when I will launch that application, so which log message will get printed? So what you will see in the log window? Can you guess and tell me when I will launch this application? So what do you expect? Which logs message should get printed in the console? Okay. So I can see many of you have just said on create, but basically you would be seeing on create, then you will see on start and on resume. So as I said, when you launch the application, it first call on create, then it calls on start and on resume. So on resume means your application is completely running. It is running very well on the device. Okay. So now what I'll do is I'll put my application in the background. And now can you guess what methods will get called when you will put your application in the background? So David, on create method will not get called when you push the application in background. So on create method, always remember it will call only once during the application lifecycle, and it will get called when you will start the application. Okay, so I'm getting a lot of answers. So the methods that will get called are called as on pause and on stop. So okay, so let me push that application in the background. So you can see. So now when I push that application in the background, the methods that are getting called are called as on pause and on stop. So why it is like that? Because when you press the home button, so for the fraction of second, your application was in foreground, but you were not able to interact with that application because it is going in the background now. So that's why on pause got called. And once your application has completely gone into the background, the method that it called is called as the on stop. And yes, so that's the correct answer, Abhijit. On pause and on stop will get always called together. So yes. Okay, so now if I bring that application to the front, so can you guess what method will get called? So if I just bring that application to the front, so can you guess which methods will get called? So yes, so this time I have received the right answers from most of you. So now when you will bring your application on the front, two methods will get called. Those are called as on start and on resume. So what I'll do is I'll just launch my application from the recent application list. So that is the hello world. Okay, so what happened? My device went into the offline mode. I don't know why. So I will just reconnect it again. So you can see. So now when my application again came back to the foreground, it again called on start and on resume. Okay, so now the final question. Now when I will press the back button, so now can you guess what methods will get called? Now when I will exit the applications, what are the methods you are expecting it should get called? So basically the methods will get called are the on pause, on stop and on destroy. Because for the fraction of second, your application is in foreground, but user will not able to access it. So that is on pause. Then your application will go into the background on stop. And finally, Android will kill your application because you have pressed the back key. So on destroy. So if I exit the application, if I press the back key, so you can see we have got on pause, on stop and on destroy over there. Okay, so guys, is that clear to you? Is that activity lifecycle concept is clear to you? Did you get the basic idea on how those activity lifecycle methods get called? That's really great. So Syed is receiving the error, cannot find symbol variable log. So there is one option. So what you have to do is, so sometimes you will get that option. So what you can do is, you can click on the code So if you see that syntax in the red color, so it is not importing that class. So you can just see optimize imports. Okay, so if it's not able to import that class, just click on optimize import and it will import that class for you. Okay, so guys, with that, we would conclude today's session. So there is one topic remaining, that is event listener. So I would continue that topic in tomorrow's session. So we are short on time. So rather than putting the topic in the half, let's start the topic from tomorrow itself. So anyways, so we have got 5 minutes. So any questions from today's session? Do you have any feedbacks? So if you would like to tell me, please let me know, so I can take care of those things from tomorrow's session. And also one thing I would like to request you is, at the end of the session, you would be getting the feedback window. So just provide your feedback, like how was the session, how was the instructor, so what are the things, what are the new things that you are expecting from the course, something like that. You can always give us the feedback. So please take that feedback, and it would really help me to improve myself as well as to improve the overall course which we are having. So ultimately, you guys are going to give us the suggestions on what are the things that you expect from the course, and accordingly, we always keep on updating our course. Okay, so any questions? Yeah, LMS. Okay, that's sorry, Vinayak, I forgot to do that. So I got a question from Vivek. I don't have any experience in Java or any programming. What should I learn to understand this? Okay, so guys, there is one website URL I would like to give you all. So that is called as genco.org. Okay, so this is a very good website, and during my college days, I used to refer to this website. So I think it is now genco.com. So this website has very good tutorials on Java. So if you go through this website, there you will see the section called as Java. So let me check. Even I am visiting this website after a lot of duration. So let me take a look. Yeah. So we have got something called as tutorials, and there we have got. So you can see. So I will share this website URL with you. Okay. So here you will see Java SE. So what you have to complete is, you have to complete Java language, collections, concurrency, date, exception handling, generics. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so guys, just make sure that in case if you have not worked on Java much, just make sure that you are completing these topics in your free time. So language, collection, concurrency, utils. So these are somewhat important topics which we would be using most of the times. Okay, so I think there is some issue. And tutorialpoints.com is also good. So yes, David, that is also really good. Okay, so I think there was some issue with the screen, but now you can see the tutorials.genco.com. So you will see that Java section. Just go through it, and you would learn a lot, I would say. Rather than just referring to the 300 pages book, I would say this is somewhat shortcut. Okay, and David is getting an error message while opening the activity hello XML. So David, even I face that issue sometimes. So what I would request you to do is just close that activity hello XML and again open it. So Android Studio, it is still in, I would say, beta phase. So they are having some issues with that, but slowly they will improve all those sections also. Okay, so try to close that activity hello 2-3 times and open it again. So I think that should solve the issue. Okay, so I hope guys you enjoyed today's session a lot. Now I will take you through the LMS panel. So you can see over here. So once you log in into the Edureka, so what you have to do is, you must have received your credentials from the Edureka. So if you haven't received the credentials, just put a mail to the Edureka to give you your credentials. Once you get your credentials, you will go on the edureka.co. There you will log in with your username and password. And after the login is successful, you will reach on this particular screen. Okay. So on this particular screen, what you have to do is, you will see the tab called as course content. Okay. So this course content tab will contain all the session recordings and all. So whatever section recordings will be done, they will be uploaded over here. So you would see the Java overview. So you can just go through these tutorials, Java object-oriented concept and all. Then today we covered the module 1. So all the code snippets which I have covered during the session, those code snippets are available over here. So I would not be sending you the code snippet. You can just download those code snippets from here. So those are the same code snippets which I have covered during today's class. You would also see the assignment. You can take up those assignments, and if you complete the assignment and if you want to cross check, you can download the assignment solution and you can just cross check how that is that correct or not. Okay, so this is the LMS panel. It is pretty much simple, I would say. So you can just expand each module and there you will see the same contents. So each module, so we have just uploaded module 1 and module 2. So you would see presentation, quiz, code snippets, assignment solutions. So you would see that. So you can just go through them. Okay, and you will also see the recorded session. So right now we don't have any recorded session there, but we would be, so you can see reference recordings. So if you expand that panel, you can see the recordings. So we would be uploading the recording shortly. So you can see at that particular moment. Okay, so is that clear to you, Vinayak? Okay, that's great. Okay, so with that, guys, I'll take a leave and I'll be seeing you tomorrow again at 8:30 p.m. Okay, so try to set up the things if you get some time. And in case if you have any questions, always reach out to me on vipul@edureka.co. In case if you don't get response from me, maybe I may not able to respond to you because of the busy schedule or something like that. You can always drop the same question to the support@edureka.co and they will get back to you. But I would always try my 110% to reach out to you with the solution. Okay, so guys, thanks for your time. I will end today's webinar and I'll see you again tomorrow at 8:30 sharp. Okay, so have a great day and enjoy the first session of Android, and I'm expecting you to create a beautiful applications on Android platform. Okay, so thanks for your time. I will see you again tomorrow. Okay, and at the end of the webinar, you will see the feedback panel. So please provide your valuable feedback so that it will help us to improve ourselves. Okay, so thank you.